I don't like these movies.
Get real.
Dude, I saw that movie 20 goddamn times!
Just consume product. I watch my movies. Yeah, my movies are the best work.
And it's so much fun! And really?
Oh, this movie's too complicated.
Hey, so once again, no smoking in this theater.
I'm taking such good care of my little white boys.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Idle Film Club, your Brain Rot Girlfriend's favourite movie podcast. I'm Callum.
And I'm Gio.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm feeling good off the bat of us going to see the new Luca Guadagnino movie, Challengers. We saw it at the cinema a couple of days ago, and we're very excited to talk about it.
Going into this, how are you feeling?
Feeling like I'm ready to play a game of tennis,
Yeah.
so to speak,
Lots of
with
back and
you,
forth.
my co-host.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just... Oh, I'm serving the fact that there's going to be lots of spoilers in this podcast.
Yeah, so please go and watch this. We are going to spoil the whole thing.
Yes,
So,
just to get our thoughts out the way first. Well, I think we both really like this movie.
I loved it. It's a very, very, very close second to Late Night with the Devil, I think. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. Maybe not one to take the wee children to.
No.
But yes, go and see it. We both liked it, and then you can come back and listen when you've watched it.
Check it out. I know this movie is quite divisive. I still don't really get why.
Well, I don't get why. Maybe if you're a prude.
Yeah, if you're a boring prude loser,
Ooh, if
you
you're a
might not
loser.
like it.
Yeah, so go watch it, and then come back and listen.
Check it out.
You were incredible today.
Thank you.
I mean, it wasn't even like tennis. It was an entirely different game.
So, Challengers, the Year of Our Lord 2024, directed, as we said, by Luca Guadagnino, who has done a very colourful and varied array of films over the last...
All with very attractive people in them.
He knows what's hot.
He does.
And we will almost certainly circle back to that.
While we're on the director at the moment, I just want to say maybe his greatest achievement is being able to direct Dakota Johnson to act well
Yeah.
in that Suspiria remake. So there's nothing he can't do.
I definitely think I'm very, very overdue a watch on that.
Oh yeah, that's great.
The first time I watched it, I think I found it too slow. I'm much better these days at sustaining interest because there was definitely parts of it that I really, really liked. I'm thinking of that one scene, you know, where she's like contorting and she like pisses herself.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
It is like one of the most disturbed. Like, I can't remember much about that movie, but that.
Do you remember
sticks with
the
you.
end scene with Unmade by Tom York playing over it, where people are like blowing up?
I remember being like
Yeah.
brazy
Oh,
ending.
well, yeah, we'll rewatch
So yeah,
that.
we'll go back. I have been recently talking about really wanting to rewatch Call Me By Your Name because I loved that film when it came out. I tried to watch Bones and all.
Oh,
and
I've never
I gave
seen
up.
it. Is that
It's-
Zendaya as well?
No, it's Timmy. And is it Taylor? I think I can't remember what her name is. Taylor something. I think she.
Joey King.
It wasn't for me. I was watching it at work, so maybe I need to go back and revisit.
Anyway, on to this week's movie.
Amazon and MGM Studios put this masterpiece out there.
How depressing was it to see that 100 years of MGM logo and then see an Amazon company underneath it? It did make me want to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
The company
not
that
good.
put out like The Wizard of Oz is now owned by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. This is probably the most shocking thing of all. 15, this movie.
I don't know how they swung that by the censors. I don't get it.
They pulled a fast one. They were like, this is an art movie.
The
It's a
same
creepy, disgusting pervert movie.
the same rating as Wish Upon, by the way.
Equal in stature, I would say.
Yeah, that's my frame of reference.
Wait, you dig on multiverses?
So 2 hours and 11 minutes. For me, it felt a lot longer than that because I needed a piss about halfway through.
Yeah.
I managed to hold off until about the last 20 minutes, and then I was like, this is very much dampening my enjoyment of the movie.
No pun intended. Yeah, no, I went for a piss. I drank a beer before.
I have never pissed faster in my life. I did
You
not.
were really quick.
I was so great. I was not missing a second.
Georgia
of that
went in the
movie.
we're assuming if you're listening to this now you've seen it. Georgia went in like the final match bit.
Yeah.
And after it's after he does the thing with the ball at the end, right? And he gets angry. You saw that.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, man. I went in a better place than Georgia, but you were in and out in about 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Did you wash your hands?
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
I did.
Georgia just crossed her fingers and then did a little Pinocchio nose gesture.
Scandalous.
She never washes her hands.
The Rotten Tomatoes sits at 95% with an 88 Metascore. So,
Critics love it.
yeah, critics love it. I think any Luca movie, Zendaya at the moment is... I feel the same way about Zendaya as I feel about Timothée Chalamet, where I'm like, they're both very, very good actors.
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite as good as everyone says they are.
Zendaya is, for me, better than Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
Don't know if you watched that movie on Netflix. Was it Netflix or Amazon? The black and white movie with her, Marie and...
No.
I can't remember. That was really good.
Don't get me wrong. I like them both a lot, but
Yeah.
maybe they'll get better.
Yeah, Zendaya is very one note.
Yeah, I think she is excellent at playing that one kind of character. I'm not shitting on Zendaya because I do think that she is really great, but
I mean, for a Disney Channel kid as well.
yeah, they're both hype at the moment, aren't they?
I'm trying to think if we had, I'm trying to think back to another hype actor from maybe our generation that was just
Maybe young
everywhere.
Leo.
Young Leo, yeah, I guess where he was everywhere. What was one when we were on the up? I don't know, it's hard to think, isn't it? A young teenage actor who was everywhere. Thing is...
Like, there weren't any.
No.
Rob Pattinson,
but
died
again...
a death.
Yeah, and I was thinking, those girls from Spring Breakers who were all supposed to go on and do adult... like Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez.
Yeah, I feel like they are, them two and Jenna Ortega are like...
Yeah, they're bossing it, aren't they?
Yeah, and like, good for them. Like, don't get me wrong, I've never seen a bad Zendaya or Timmy performance.
I don't know. I haven't seen Wonka, but the trailers for Wonka.
Yeah, but I think it's intentionally goofy.
Oh, God.
You know what? He's a fucking theatre kid.
He is.
He is goofy.
He does remind me of like a...
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, I was going to say young Ryan Gosling, where he has that charisma and that charm.
He's a bit of a weirdo.
He's a bit of a weirdo, and I hope he goes and does more weirdo movies, because good for him. He's done... Other than Wonka, I mean, he's not in the Cape shit.
With me.
What's he saying that? Where he's like,
We need
wait,
to
no,
watch-
scrap that and
we
reverse
need to
it.
watch
Oh.
So quiet up and listen down. Nope, scratch that, reverse it.
Anyway, back to the movie. So we've got Zendaya as our main character,
Tashi Duncan.
and we have...
Duncan, Idaho. It's a June reference. It's not really. We have Mikey.
Michael. So we have Zendaya. I don't need to give any introduction into what Zendaya's been in. I'm sure everyone...
Yeah, just off the top of the dome. June, Euphoria, Spider-Man.
Nah.
Oh god, one more would have done that nice.
Anyway, Mike Faced is Art Donaldson. I have never seen anything with him in it. He was in West Side Story.
Ooh.
I think he's a bit of a theatre kid. West Side Story is the only one of his that I can sort of remember off the top of my head. I feel like this might be a me problem because people seem to really, really like him.
What, do you not like him?
No, I didn't like him. I just don't really know him from anything. And my sweet, sweet boy, Josh O'Connor,
Yes.
plays Patrick
Zweig.
And that is our threesome.
Challengers was fun to make, and also just getting to work with these guys.
The three of us just had such a blast. There was a lot of playfulness on set.
This is a fun movie because it's kind of a bit of everything.
Got a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Do you want to go into the plot?
I'd love to. So, former tennis prodigy Tashi Duncan watches on as her husband and tennis champion Art Donaldson is in the final of a tournament with his ex-roommate and ex-best friend Patrick Zweig. Patrick is broken down on his luck. He needs to win this tournament to qualify for the US Open, as he currently doesn't rank in the top 100. We see him at the start and he's sleeping in his car. He's trying to swindle his way into a motel or a hotel or whatever.
Very charming.
He's very charming.
Very charming.
Yes. And Art is using the tournament to try and end his losing streak and regain some of his confidence, because he is like a pro. He's obviously got sponsorship deals. He's very good, but I think he's on a losing streak.
And his heart's not really in it.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think he's like an older pro. He's like 31, right?
Yeah, and you get the impression that he's not doing this for himself.
Yes, and Tashi, his wife, is also his coach. She's sort of pushing for it. So through flashbacks, we see that Tashi was once a young, promising tennis player who both the boys fancied bloody rotten. At a party, they convince Tashi to come to their hotel room one night, where they have a chat, drink some beers, and all three start kissing one another at Tashi's request. She's very much in control in this situation.
She certainly is.
Tashi leaves as Art and Patrick start making out as she sort of steps back. She leaves claiming she isn't a homewrecker, but she will give her number to whichever boy wins their match tomorrow.
She wants to see a fucking good game of tennis.
Yes.
I should go. Or my dad comes looking for me. I'll see you at school, Art.
Wait, are you on Facebook?
What?
He's asking for your number. And so am I.
Just a bit of context, both the boys, they've won the doubles championship and now they have the junior final and it's between them two. And they sort of agreed before Patrick was going to let Art win because his grandma was watching. He's not really taking it that seriously, but then he obviously starts taking it seriously when Tashi's number comes into play. Patrick does end up winning and he starts dating Tashi, but she goes to the same college as Art. Stanford. And Art is clearly jealous and he's being a bit maniacal and telling lies to both of them about what each other said about each other. Patrick knows exactly what he's doing.
And passes it off as like he calls him out on it, which I think is the nice thing to do, whereas he's just being a shit stirrer.
Yeah, but it's very much like reasons. Why I order, like you sly dog sort of thing. It's like, it's pretty crazy.
I think you should make me an honest man. You don't believe me?
No, I'm not sure how she's thinking about all of this. I don't want you to get hurt.
Did she say something to you?
No. I just got the impression she's not thinking about this as a serious relationship.
Their relationship ends, however, when Tashi suffers a career-ending injury, and this is a match she played following on directly from an argument she had with Patrick before the game. Because she is just so obsessed with tennis, and she won't stop talking about tennis while they're trying to fuck. Art helps her recovery, and Tashi ends up coaching him to great success, and somewhere between these two dates we're flushing, they get married and have a daughter together. Lily is the name of the daughter, correct. Flash forward to the game we opened on, and Art and Patrick are level a game apiece. But that evening, before their final game, which would be the tiebreaker, Tashi goes out to try and convince Patrick to lose for Art's sake.
Goes out to convince him to lose, quote unquote.
Yeah, they end up sleeping together, obviously. And it turns out, I think we learn earlier in the movie that they slept together before. Is it like a year after they've broken up? Atlanta,
is that what you're talking about? That's 3. In case you haven't noticed, this movie does a lot of jumping in timeline.
Yes, and
there's not really a clear... Someone one day will edit
in order. I would love that.
Same.
I'm a bit of a smooth brain when it comes to timeline hopping.
It asks a lot of its audience, I think. I really enjoyed it, but if it's hard to follow, that's because it's hard to follow when you're watching it.
Yeah. And I did have a couple of beers before, so that probably didn't help. So in the final match, you might have learnt by now that I don't know jack shit about tennis.
I don't think Luca knows anything about tennis
Does he
either.
Not?
I don't think so. I don't think he even likes tennis.
So in the final game, Patrick implies their adultery on the court in front of Art by...
They're both getting pretty riled up, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's foreshadowed earlier in the film when Patrick and Tashi first sleep together. Art is like, oh, serve like this if you fucked. You don't have to tell me. And then he does that exact same serve. And Art is like, fuck off sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then, match point, it's an intense match point, rally. And it culminates in the two of them hugging in the centre court, and Art wins the game in the end. And then Tashi is cheering them both on, and she's regained her passion. And she's yelling, come on, like she did. They saw it in the first game.
In here. It's a great line delivery.
It is.
They sort of jump up to both hit the ball or something to that effect, and then Art is going to sort of fall, and then Patrick catches him.
Very sweet, and they sort of laugh it off.
Yeah.
And then it's when the movie ends.
And they're both smiling.
And in my head, they all became friends again, and they all fucked each other.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is really carried by the genuine friendship between Patrick and Art.
Yeah.
They are so endearing.
They have so much chemistry, the actors as well.
They really, really do.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love. I think coming out of it, I like it a bit more now, giving it a days to dwell on.
Yeah.
But I liked it coming out of it.
He's not in love with you.
What makes you think I want someone to be in love with me?
I didn't like some of the art direction. I'll get my qualms out of the way first. Let's get the negatives out of the way. I didn't like some of the art direction, or I guess the photography you'd call it.
What do you mean by that? What didn't you like?
I didn't like the POV shots from the tennis. I didn't think the tennis was directed well at all.
What, where the ball flies?
Yeah.
I didn't like that
And
either.
I didn't like some of the ball comes towards the camera. I don't think the tennis was very artfully shot. It's like he tried to shoot it in an interesting way, but a lot of the time I was just like, this would be a lot more intense if you just let it play out naturally.
Yeah, I think he was trying to encapsulate that frenetic energy. I just don't think you can do it well.
And I think the Reznor score does it well enough. I mean,
yeah,
we'll get
true.
onto that later, but I think it just felt a bit over the top and a bit try-hard. But other than that, I think that was my only qualm, really. Again, the timeline hopping, I'm trying to think of movies that timeline hop that I like it when there's a distinct look about a time period.
What about Pulp Fiction? Because we watched Pulp Fiction recently and we said how this is one of actually a part of the movie that I really do like. It has that same feeling that you get when you're watching Pulp Fiction, in the sense of it does a really fucking good job of keeping you engaged. It's not a particularly interesting story. Like, it is interesting, but not that much happens.
Yeah.
But the time jumping, the scene that really in particular I think nailed that for me, very, very early on, I'm not sure at which point, but you sort of get a close-up of Tashi's knee and you can see the scar from her break, and the whole time you're just thinking, when is this gonna happen?
Oh, see, I didn't spot that. I'm not as
you not?
eagle-eyed as you.
Because I saw that and was like, right, okay, I immediately know where the movie's going.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I liked that. I will say it asks a lot of its audience to keep up.
Yeah.
At times, if you ask me to put a chronology of what events happen where, I wouldn't necessarily be able to, I don't think. But I'm not sure that you need to be able to do that.
No, I just think more what I love about the movie is the story. And I think it's such a great little scandalous character study, I guess, about these three, for all intents and purposes, psychopaths. No, I like the story a lot, but I just think some of the execution with the flashbacks and the time jumping, I just wish it had been done a bit more creatively rather than just having 12 years earlier.
Yeah.
And then scene play out, and then 13 years later, scene play out. Maybe just, I don't know if it's gimmicky or not, but shooting on different lenses or something, or having a distinct look about a time period. But with saying that, I think the de-aging's done perfectly. So
the aging up and down is done to absolutely great effect.
yeah, no, so good. I don't know who the makeup and costume department is on this, but yeah, absolutely amazing.
Well, we'll talk about the costume shortly because that in itself is very interesting. But basically what we're talking about, it's done very, very, very well and subtly.
Subtle is the key word, I think.
We're jumping basically between 3 time periods, essentially, right? When they're like teenagers, when they're sort of like just after that, and then when they're older, I think. For the most part, I think that's where the 3 sort
So
of...
what scenes would be in the middle?
The Atlanta stuff. Because that's like 3
Oh,
years
is it?
before.
And is that, I'm trying to work out what scenes that is. I know the scene where they're together in the bar, right?
Yeah.
And then they disappear. It's difficult. Again, it's really difficult.
It is hard.
And this is why it would have been nice to sort of have a distinct look about the time.
I think they did that with the way that the characters look.
But I can't tell the difference between the Atlanta scenes and...
No, I do agree with that. But again, I guess it's sort of aging. They went for the aging, the physical appearances of the characters to tell at which point of the narrative we're at. But I do agree with you.
I never like a title card. I never like a 12 years earlier, or I don't like...
That doesn't bother me at all.
I just think it's lazy. I think you should be shown that, not told it.
But it time jumps so much.
It does time jump so much.
Like, at least 7 or 8 times.
So maybe it's the editing that I'm not too hot on, rather than the direction.
I think you'll have to
bit...
watch it a second time.
Yeah, maybe I'd change my mind if I watched it a second time.
I'm not saying you'd change your mind, but I just mean it is hard to watch something once and completely understand everything and take everything in, because I'm sure, like I said about the knee thing, if you watch that again, you know.
I'm sure there's loads to pick up on.
I saw things in the script that immediately jumped off the page. It was so enjoyable, and I kept flipping through. I was like, no, he did it. No, she did it.
But it's so well done because not only do they dress them differently and do their hair differently, and like, I don't know if they add wrinkles, but they do very slight.
It's almost like just worn skin, isn't it? It feels is it all done practically, do you know?
I'm not sure. To be honest, there's not much information about this movie out yet.
Yeah, annoyingly. We'll definitely go and watch behind the scenes when it comes out on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
and stuff,
because the three of them did a lot of interviews, but there's not really anything with the director as of yet. I'm sure maybe it'll come out soon, but not only in their sort of physical appearances, but also their physiques change a lot. It's actually crazy how well they go from being teenagers to being like Zendaya's fuck-ass Bob. And like Josh O'Connor looks like a different person between scene to scene. He looks so young and so fresh when he's a teenager, and then when he's an adult, he looks 20 years older.
It is crazy. Yeah, no, I can't say enough good things about the makeup and costume department. It's so good.
It's so well done.
And I know I have my qualms, but yeah, no, I did really like this movie. Don't get me wrong. I was just trying to get my negatives out the way, so I don't rag on the movie.
It's absolutely fair to have gripes with a movie. You can still really enjoy it. I enjoyed it so much that
you get a bit starstruck by movies sometimes.
Sometimes,
like when you really like a movie.
But I'm also the first person to be like, no, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I'm quite hard to please.
But when it works, it works.
But give me a dirty pervert movie and that will generally please me.
Georgia was, for all intents and purposes, kicking her feet in the cinema, giggling like that. That dirty law. I was like, fucking hell. Although I felt sort of the same. This is a weird movie to watch in public.
I was so embarrassed. If the lights were up, I would have been blushing.
Yeah,
This is more filthy than hardcore pornography, and yet there's no nudity.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
There's one dong.
But it's very...
But that's not even...
Well, there's quite a few dongs walking around in the change room scenes.
Yeah, but I remember one. But like... That's so
Yeah, it's very matter of fact.
Yeah, it's not sexy, whereas like...
Yeah, the sex scenes in this are raunchy. In a way, I put in my Letterboxd review that it is for sex what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre did for violence, where you come away from it being like, fucking hell, that was filthy. And then you're like, I don't think I saw a tit.
Because that's what I said to you. I was like, you do realise there's no nudity in that movie, and you were like, what?
I was shocked. I was convinced I just watched
there is nudity,
porn.
but not from the central feed. And I think the way that they can sort of get around it is that in the beginning, obviously, they are attracted to her and they do want to fuck her, but also they really respect her.
The power dynamic is very interesting, isn't it?
Because she is their superior for all intents and purposes.
She's older than them, right?
By maybe like I don't think she's much older.
No, we need to have a serious conversation about the age gap in this movie.
But, you get the sense that they really admire her and respect her. And I think if the shoe is on the other foot, it comes across as a bit exploitative and weird.
Yeah, there is something, I don't know, and these boys are so preppy and non-threatening.
Oh yeah,
I think that's what it is. If they were like rugby
creepo,
lads or something, you'd be like, oh Christ, this is a bit weird. But they're never pushy.
No. She is the one that she can obviously sense that there's something going on between them. I don't think that... I guess we'll get into it now. I think the depictions of sexuality in this movie are great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's very fluid, isn't it?
And I don't think it never goes too far with it. And you get the make-out scene. She's basically making out with each of them, then both of them at once, and then the two boys start kissing each other while she's just sort of sat
She
there.
sort of not makes them do it, but encourages them to do it.
Yeah, and she
facilitates it.
Yeah,
she has a dirty little smile like you had on your face.
But as she should, she's a sensible woman.
She's got taste.
Okay, well, I'm not a homewrecker.
We don't live together.
It's an open relationship.
Also, Patrick has a girlfriend.
I do not. Hey, come hang out with us later.
But after that, you don't get the ugh, ick. They
no,
just
they're
go
not
back
like
to being
they're not like
friends.
wiping their like. Ugh. It's so. This is why again they're non-threatening and they've got good. I don't know if they've got good morals. I don't know enough about
No,
them.
but I agree. Their relationship is
Wholesome.
very it is because like not one of them even cares about the fact that this girl has basically tricked them into kissing each other.
No, they're more annoyed that they got blue balls.
Yeah, exactly. And we get maybe the funniest moment,
The erection slap, which is very good.
the boner slap,
Yeah.
which is excellent.
It's really funny.
obviously-
Comedically perfect timing.
That's so good. I think that, I think each of them takes something slightly different from that experience because it seems like Art takes that and just sort of leaves it. And obviously he's pining for Tashi's character.
Yeah, this is what I think the movie is about, pretty much, which is he's more in love with tennis than anything, and so is she. She's attracted to how good he is at tennis, and even before she leaves, she says to him, like, oh, you should win to Art.
Yeah.
Art is not as good at tennis as
Patrick.
And I think she sees the talent in him, the raw talent. I don't think she loves him.
Hitting a ball with a racket is a great way to avoid having a job.
Well, that's also your problem. Because you think that tennis is about expressing yourself, doing your thing. That's why you still have that serve.
It works.
So we'll get to their relationship afterwards, but
Okay.
sticking with the sexuality. So I think each of them takes something different away from that experience because we see that Art pretty much from that moment only has eyes for Zendaya. And then we sort of, nothing is ever spelled out, but we get the impression that Patrick is bisexual or doesn't give a shit about gender or whatever because you sort of see him on Tinder. But it's pretty much just an extension of he's basically trying to get these people to match on Tinder so that he can stay with them because he's like broke and has nowhere to sleep. He's an equal opportunist.
Yeah.
I respect that. I respect that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if the film is trying to tell you that he's bisexual or not.
No.
Because he sort of hesitates, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then when you find out the context that he's just trying to get a bed.
Yeah.
But he'd be willing to have sex with that guy somewhere to sleep. So it is very much like, yeah, I guess he is bisexual.
It's done in a way that's not like, I'm straight, I'm gay,
And it's
I'm
not played
this,
for
I'm
laughs
that. No,
either.
it's not. And that's what I like about this. Like, the kiss scene is not played for yucks
No,
at all.
no, not at all.
And it gets a laugh out of people, I think, just because of how...
I think it's nervous energy.
It is. And it's very raunchy.
It is.
But in a very specific way. And I think when you've watched the film, you'll get it. It's kind of hard to explain the energy that is in that scene. But it is good. And I think what I like so much is the fact that after that scene, they just go back to being friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's so nice because it's not, like I said, it's not played for yucks.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
a stupid and annoying way to play that.
So, how often does this happen? Going after the same girl?
Because there's a gap where Tashi and Art bump into each other, and that's
What, at Stanford?
I'm not sure if it's at Stanford, but
What, in the cafeteria?
no, before she becomes his coach, they meet but almost by accident, and that's when the conversation about her becoming his coach comes from.
Oh, what, the Applebee's?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, I mean, their relationship, I guess, is the next port of call. It's interesting and it's complex.
Yeah.
There's love there, question mark. I'm not sure if it's love for each other.
It's more love for tennis, I think.
Yeah,
and
they-
love for sport. And
I think he loves her.
oh, no, yeah. I don't think there's a question about that.
No, but Art is, and we see this through their character development, right? Art and Tashi have what seems like a professional relationship.
Yeah.
Hey, I love you.
I know.
There is love from his side, but you get the impression that she's not. But even with her kid, she seems quite distant and the work comes first. She seems to have no interest in him other than career purposes and the brand that they have built.
Yes,
and she
very much.
lives vicariously through him because of her injury.
Yeah, and it is a difficult one. I think she loves winning so much. It's a sportsman mentality.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me...
As two sportsmen, we would
That's
know
what I
all
was gonna
about
say, yeah.
this.
I was going to say, I'm not speaking from experience here, but I think if you want to, obviously, there's that whole thing about talent only takes you so far. You got to work for it, and you've got to be so disciplined. No professional athlete isn't just insanely disciplined. And that's what Art is compared to Patrick. I mean, the first time they meet, Patrick offers her a cigarette, and they go and smoke together, but Art doesn't smoke the cigarette.
And their love triangle as such, you have Art and Tashi, Tashi and Patrick and Art. And Art and Tashi are like stability and practicality and professionalism, whereas Patrick and Tashi are like passion and excitement, and they are much more compatible on a personal level. He says to her at one point, like, I'm the only piece of shit that can see you for what you really are, which is a piece of shit, sort of thing. They are on the same understanding that they're both...
Well, they're both losers.
Yeah, and they're both pretty morally questionable people.
Yeah.
Whereas Art and Tashi are like, the only way I can describe them is professional.
Yeah, but I think it goes beyond that to just a sheer love of sport and winning. I don't even think it's professionalism. I think it's that spark that athletes have, which normal, regular humans don't have.
Yeah.
Which is that goal to win. More than anything in the world, it's more important than your kid, it's more important than relationships.
Yeah.
But to Tashi, there's nothing more important than tennis. Even outside of the brand. I mean, she says to him, like, semi-jokingly, but you don't even know if it's serious. Before his final match against Patrick, she goes, like, well, if you don't win, I'll leave you. Is that what you want to hear? And it's a sort of pang of, like, oh, she might mean this.
You can beat him.
What if I don't? How are you gonna look at me if I still can't beat Patrick Zweig?
Just like this.
Yeah, because that scene, he basically says to her, please tell me that I don't have to win this. And she can't do it.
No, even from the first moment they meet, the way she looks at him is more in a sense of she sees a winner there, I think, and she sees discipline. I don't think she's physically attracted to him. I think she's attracted to his outlook and the fact he is a winner.
Yeah, and they talk at the beginning of the film, sort of before the boys meet her, how she's got brand deals and she's gonna build a foundation and support her family and stuff like that. And
She's gonna turn a whole family into millionaires. She'll have a fashion line, a foundation.
tennis, I think neither of us are interested in tennis.
No.
And I think, to me, tennis is just boring. Like, the brand identity of tennis is so strong. Like, to be a professional tennis player, you've got to play the game.
Yeah, and it's sort of like F1, I guess, where it's just discipline. I keep saying that word, but it's the only word I can think of, really.
But Patrick is the antithesis of that.
Yeah, but you're not a tennis player. So you don't know what tennis is.
What is it?
It's a relationship.
I don't know if his character was based on, was it McElroy? Not McElroy.
He is based on a man called Nick Kyrgios, who was the bad boy of tennis.
Right. I was thinking, who's the guy that goes like, you gotta be kidding me? That guy. He's like from the 90s or 80s, and he was like an angry guy and famously like called out refs and stuff. Again, I don't know jack shit about tennis.
That could be him.
And it's not him. I'd recognise the name.
Oh, but yeah, no, apparently this guy is where they got the banana scene, which is excellent.
Yeah,
I love that. Apparently he was just really hot-headed and like used to swear all the time and would always get points for like fouling and stuff. But those kind of peoples are outliers in the world of tennis. Like, it's a very disciplined and mannered and professional. You think of Wimbledon, right? Well, it's very upper crust.
Oh, yeah. Again, it's the same with, you get very few rags to riches stories with these sports, like golf or tennis or especially Formula One, because you have to have the money to put behind it.
Yeah.
Whereas football, you can just be playing, you can play in a park and some scout will see you, or you play Sunday League, or you play in your kid's school and a scout will see you. So again, it probably helps to be rich, but in these sports, I don't even think you get past the first hurdle without being rich.
Yeah, definitely. And the difference, because Art and Patrick goes on tour, I think, where they just go around and play events, I guess. Whereas Tashi and Art go to Stanford.
I think a tour is like a tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you talk about the PGA Tour and things like that for golf.
This shows how little we know about tennis.
Tennis is fucking boring.
It is, but this made tennis sexy again.
I was going to say, I do like tennis media to a certain extent. I like the aesthetics of tennis.
Oh yeah, like the butt.
Oh yeah, don't.
Yeah. But there's a few shots of Zendaya.
You don't even see her ass, but it's like, Christ.
I like to think myself as an equal opportunist when it comes to, is this hot or is this not? This guy knows what's hot.
Yeah.
You don't see the butt, but you see a little bit of cheek.
But it reminded me of David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest a bit, the opening of that.
Obviously.
That book is set at a tennis academy, and it's all very upper crust, like you said, and again, it's the sort of, you have to live on a different plane. Yeah. It's not like rugby or football, you can go out and get pissed.
Yeah, and I think that's what the film does so well in setting up that Art and Patrick are just fundamentally different people.
Yeah.
Patrick smokes, and in the last scene, he's obviously broke as well. Yeah. But he's wearing this very slutty cut-off shirt.
Mac.
And yeah.
As you like to do.
And like fucking plaid shorts that are like so inappropriate.
It's like something my dad would wear when he's like doing the gardening.
Exactly. Whereas Art is wearing like all like white Uniqlo, and he's got like the, what do you call it, the body tape for injuries and stuff. Whereas Patrick is just like raw talent. But he's not playing the game, and he's fucking broke.
And he's not getting brand deals.
He's a homeless loser, but
one of those things where it's, again, talent only gets you so far.
Yeah,
you got to have sacrifice, and
you
I don't
play
think
the game.
Yeah,
and he's not prepared to do that.
No,
which is why he's
I think 99% of people in the world aren't built like that.
Yeah, no.
If I had the raw talent of, Ronaldo, which maybe I do, I don't know, but I don't have the fucking discipline, or I'm too lazy, I'm too work shy. I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. I'm just not. I'm not giving up cigarettes for anyone.
Did you think that was cool? Because I thought that was cool.
What?
Just the fact that he just like doesn't give a fuck.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. It's just why any sportsman that's like that, people love, like Jack Grealish.
I mean, we don't remember it because we were too young, but I miss the days where like sport was less of corporate, where it was just like, think about like when we grew up in the 2000s, right? Wayne Rooney was off every weekend banging some fucking, like, all they were doing, and like you go back to like the 70s and 80s. These men were getting fucked up every single night and playing good football.
There's a story where Roy Keane had a 3 o'clock kickoff in an FA Cup, I think quarter-final against Palace. He had like a doner kebab for lunch.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Sport, and
it's got the levels are so high, isn't it?
Football especially, I think these days is so sanitized and it's so corporate because of the money and the sponsorships and all that shit. Tennis has never been that sport. Like, tennis is, to me, has always been
it's been like golf, innit?
Yeah, it's just boring white people shit.
It is.
Tashi is a go-getter. She's gonna make something happen if she wants it to happen. Her life was always gonna be tennis. And now she has to find a way to redefine herself.
I mean, football is my only frame of reference because it's the only sport I don't detest. Anyway, this made tennis hot. This made tennis hot again.
I didn't watch that movie Battle of the Sexes, but that looked boring as well.
Tennis is cool when it's sweaty, Italian.
Yeah, if I was rich, I'd probably go see tennis.
It's like, you're not allowed to like speak if you go to like Wimbledon.
Yeah, but you can drink Aperol Spritz, strawberries and cream, and do that thing where you look back and forth.
Well, funny you should say that. It's impossible to talk about this movie without talking about the metaphor that tennis is in this movie. You get the visual of Tashi sitting in the crowd and looking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But the tennis scenes, I think, and tennis as the central focus of the film sort of conveys so much of the character development as well. Sort of the back and forth, obviously tennis is just hitting a ball back and forth, but the back and forth nature of this dynamic and their feelings towards each other, like do they love each other, do they hate each other, do they respect each other, do they fear each other, and their narrative and the story itself constantly is jumping back and forth between timelines and events, and the characters look one way and then they look another way, and then because it's constantly cutting back and forth. We've talked a little bit about what they're like in the world of tennis, but their personalities are also reflected in the way that they play tennis.
Yeah.
Patrick is very, not gimmicky, but he does that like silly little through his legs. He hits the racket, whereas Art is much more like mannered and
he has that was his serving style.
Yeah, it's unique and it's.
He talks about tennis like, oh, I think she says to him about that serve. She's like, "Is that why you're still doing that sort of thing?" Because he views it as like a signature trademark.
Yeah. But Patrick is flashy and dramatic, and Art is consistent and steady, much like they are.
Yeah.
And I guess this maybe is too abstract, but I was thinking about it today. In this dynamic, you could say that Tashi is the net that sort of
separates the two,
separates them, but also facilitates
their
dynamic and quite literally drove a line between the two of them, because for all we know, they could have been best friends forever.
Yes, which they were at the end of the game in my head canon.
Yeah, but again...
No, that's a good point.
Is she the point that meets in the middle between them? And I absolutely loved the ending. I think it's a
great ending.
It's so good. It's the first time that each one of those characters feels that spark again.
Yeah. And it's the electricity. They managed to capture the electricity of the hotel room for the first time again.
And I think they realise that they need that dynamic to be whole.
They need to be fighting over Zendaya.
Yeah. And she needs that.
Yeah.
She is a psychopath.
Yeah, 100%.
And they all are.
It's Codependency, the movie.
Yeah.
They all lean on each other in the most unhealthy ways.
The three of them egg each other on the whole way through. Like, you know, it's like...
I mean, Art, as he gets older, he sort of becomes a bit of not a recluse, but I think
he just
he
grows up.
Shrinks into himself, whereas I think...
And also, again, I just think it's growing up. I think Patrick's more of a man-child, which is
definitely.
exciting.
Yeah.
But again, what is he going to do? Raise a kid? He's a fuck-up.
Yeah. And I think that is displayed so well after she sort of comes back from having sex with Patrick and she walks in and the bed's empty and then she goes into her daughter's room and sees Art and Lily asleep in the same bed, and you think, are you happy now?
Yeah.
Like, this guy loves you and loves your kid.
The way I read that as well is obviously the subtext of her being like a motherly figure to him as well. Like, she almost has two kids.
Because she says to him, like, I'm not your mum, I'm not your nanny.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly the phrasing that she uses, but he needs that guidance from her.
Of course, yeah. She's his coach as well as his life partner.
Yeah, and you get the impression that she is the leader.
Oh, yeah.
And that has never changed.
And I don't think he wants it to change.
No, not at all. He's a little
subby
soy
boy
beta card. The movie does such a good job of actually, it never goes far enough where you're like, oh, this character's dislikable to me.
No, not at all.
I just think they're human.
Yeah, and I just love the tension between Art and Patrick when the scene's alone as they're older in the sort of...
in the sauna.
Yeah.
Because Patrick comes into the sauna and he's like got his dick out and he looks...
And he canonically has his big cock.
He canonically has a big cock, which we can also corroborate because I made Callum watch God's Own Country yesterday, which is one of my favourite movies. I absolutely love it.
It's very good.
Josh O'Connor always commits to the bit, especially when the bit is being gay.
Being gay and having a big cock.
And you know what? I respect that. Fair dues. And I'm not just saying this because he's attractive. I genuinely think he is an amazing actor. And I think he is so good in this. They all are. But him especially, I think he is excellent. He's so charming.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievably charming. It is crazy.
Yeah.
He is so funny. And I think having watched, I'm sure no one listening to this has watched God's Own Country. If you're into like a little romance, go and check it out. It is great, but it's
very depressing.
It's a stark contrast between his character in this.
Yeah, possibly the most dislikable character I've ever seen put to screen.
Well, I mean, I've never seen The Crown, but if you bring him up, he'll be like, oh yeah, from The Crown. And I'm
I
like,
don't watch that.
But apparently both Luca and Zendaya were like, oh, we need him. But neither of them consulted the other person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Luca brought it up and Zendaya was like, oh my God, I was thinking
Because is she a producer on this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of interesting bits. So Zendaya was a producer on this film. Apparently she carried over her intimacy coordinator from Euphoria.
Oh, nice.
So that was good. And from sort of the background information, a lot of the interviews, the three of them seem to get on very, very well.
Well, that's good.
And it's not just for the camera sort of thing. They genuinely seem to have a sweet bond.
That's nice.
And, you know, apparently they said they didn't really rehearse that scene much because you sort of can't.
I'm very, very grateful for that. We had a wonderful intimacy coordinator, ma'am, who I actually did work on Euphoria with. And it just, you know, you have to feel safe and comfortable in order to do your best work.
It sounded like it was a very sort of positive and fun experience as opposed to anything else, which is great. And do you remember the umpire?
Yes.
That is Darnell Appling, who is Zendaya's longtime assistant.
Oh, well.
And apparently Luca was like, please can you ask him to do it? I think he'd be amazing. He went to umpire school to research for the movie. I think he's great.
He's great, yeah. No, really, there's a load of really great side characters in this. They barely get any screen time, but...
Also, the one scene that sticks out to me is at the beginning when Patrick sort of turns up for the tournament and he can't afford to pay for the hotel room, and he tries to charm the woman behind the desk into giving him a room without paying, and she's just like, no.
Yeah. He's not as handsome as he thinks he is. Or he once was.
He's such a grifter where it's like he just thinks that he can charm his way into anything. Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, not everything though.
Yeah. But you know who wrote this movie?
I can't remember.
Justin Kuritzkis. I don't know how to say his last name.
Okay.
But his feature debut, novelist, and I think he writes for Broadway.
Oh.
Or he's a playwright and a novelist, but this is his first feature. But do you remember the YouTube video Potion Seller from 2000? No. You're not a YouTube person, but it's him. And this is like a massive video in like early YouTube.
Right.
And I remember it. I hadn't seen it in years, and I was looking at the Wikipedia today for this movie to try and get any crumbs of context I could. And it was like Potion Seller, and I was like, surely that's not the video I'm thinking of. And it's him.
That's crazy.
And it's a very funny video.
Has he done anything else?
No.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I'll cut in a clip of Potion Seller here because you might recognise it. It's very funny.
Potion Seller, I tell you I'm going into battle, and I want only your strongest potions. You can't handle my potions. They're too strong for you.
Do you want to talk about the score?
Yeah, go for it. And then we'll go on to costume design.
Yeah, so the score by... who is just sort of a go-to guy now, weirdly.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
This film is carried by the music.
Oh, I just love Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I think they're so good.
The music in this, the only way I can describe it is gay club music.
Well, yeah, they based it on Berlin techno.
Fucking rules.
Yeah, it's Berlin techno and 90s rave music, they said.
It's so good.
Lucas said, what if all the music was driving, thumping techno like a heartbeat that makes the movie fun?
Let's go!
And it does such a good job of keeping the momentum of the movie.
Atticus Ross said he got an email from Luca that just said, do you want to be on my next film? It's going to be super sexy. And there was 2 X's in sexy. And Atticus Ross was like, yeah, that sounded like something we really wanted to do. So we just signed on then and there.
Amazing. That is probably my favourite thing that I've heard since the Ryan Gosling Ken story.
Yeah.
For context, for those who maybe aren't familiar, I've pretty much told everyone I know because this story just made me happy. But apparently Greta Gerwig asked Ryan Gosling to be Ken. He originally sort of said no, he didn't really think he was right for it. And then apparently he's got 2 daughters. They were playing with Barbies and he saw a Ken doll lying face down in the mud and was like, I must tell his story.
It's so good. Yeah, there's an original track at the end. Well, not an original, they're all original tracks, but there's Trent sings on the closing credits song, which is called Compress Repress. I'm not a big Nine Inch Nails guy by any means.
No.
I don't particularly like Trent Reznor's voice. I find it a bit cringe, but it's a very good song. I mean, they've won Oscars. They won an Oscar for Soul and for Social Network.
Did they do Soul?
Yeah. I think they worked alongside, I can't remember who, but...
I'm trying to think what other movies they've done. I remember The Social Network.
Yeah, Social Network was their big breakout one. They did Jonah Hill's mid-90s soundtrack, and I love that one.
Yeah.
They did loads of shit. They done Bird Box, which, again, was terrible. I don't know how... but yeah, loads of modern... They're sort of the go-to guys for, like, indie films now.
My gripe with a lot of modern films is that the over-reliance on songs that you know.
Yeah, you can thank Cape shit for that.
Well, exactly. A lot of times it's just used to overcome laziness, which is why movies like The Handmaiden and to be fair, a lot of Korean movies, I saw The Devil, I remember watching that and being like, oh my God, there's not a single song in this
Yeah, it's
movie,
nice.
and the music is beautiful. But no, it's great, and it's done to such great effect in this movie.
Also, you need to watch some Paul Thomas Anderson movies because again, it's like old
Maybe I'll
school
watch Phantom
filmmaking.
Thread.
Phantom Thread is so good, and it's got that Johnny Greenwood score in it, which is so good.
I love a good score.
Yeah, no, same.
Love it.
Yeah,
So
which is why
good.
Hans Zimmer's great as well.
Yeah, I was
things
gonna
like that.
say.
Like proper classic movies. It's a shame that you don't get many indie movies because it's obviously expensive to hire someone to do a score.
The way he described Challenges was on a one-sentence email. Do you want to do my next film? It's gonna be super sexy.
Come here.
2 X's.
Costumes?
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to nerd out. Probably not interesting to many other people that are listening. Jonathan Anderson, do you know who that is?
Is he related to Paul Thomas?
He has a brand called JW Anderson.
I know what JW Anderson is.
Yeah, and he also has worked at Loewe. Jonathan Anderson is very well respected in the fashion community, and he basically did the costume design for this film. Luca approached him.
I am a sucker for fashion, and someone who has really rocked the fashion world is Jonathan Anderson. Jonathan coming to be the costume designer was amazing.
I read an interview with him today that was really interesting, but Jonathan basically said, if I only hung around with fashion people all the time, I don't think he said I'd kill myself, but he said words to that effect. And Luca said, I feel the same about movies.
Yeah.
So I think they have quite a nice
That's
mutual understanding. And JW Anderson sort of talked in the interview about the concept of a successful tennis player being part of a brand, which obviously we've sort of touched on earlier.
My initial starting point within clothing is ultimately about building a character. You have to kind of get into the mindset of this living person. For Patrick's character, I became very obsessed by JF Kennedy Jr. There is a kind of physicality to him. Let's go! With art, it is about the total look. There's an arrogance to the perfection.
Mike Feist recently modelled for Loewe, and Josh O'Connor is a Loewe girlie. He's done a lot of campaigns and worn a lot of Loewe sort of on the red carpet. This is what he said. I've known Josh for years. I love dressing him because I think that he is who I fundamentally would want to be. He is the perfect boy next door, someone that you would look over the fence and be obsessed with. I'm imagining that Josh O'Connor is such a hit with gay men.
Yeah.
Because he's got curly hair, he's tall, he has nice feet, which there's a lot of good feet.
He looks very good in a pair of underwear.
Fucking, can we please, I'm begging of you, bring back mini shorts. Because
He's got nice legs.
Bring back footballers wearing fucking stupidly short shorts.
Yeah.
Because that was hot. No matter what you put on him, there's an intrigue, a physicality, and he is a real person. And Zendaya has been very kind to me. She's worn a lot of things. She has the ability to engage with people in a way that is very strange compared to other celebrities. She becomes part of something larger. It's not just fashion, it's popular culture. She uses clothing as kind of an instrument.
Good point.
You ask anyone who cares any modicum about fashion, and Zendaya is up there. Her stylist is Law Roach. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's fucking amazing.
Would she wear to the June premiere? I remember that being a big news story.
Yeah, so Zendaya is basically known for what people sort of in the fashion industry term as method dressing, which is basically the idea that you see it a lot. Zendaya is probably the biggest one I can think of. Basically, the idea that people wear outfits that reflect whatever movie they're sort of promoting. Zendaya is probably the biggest example I can think of. So for the June 2 promo, she wore the Fembot Mugler suit.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't that like archival?
Yeah, which is like that suit took 6 months to make and was crafted to that model's body specifically. So it just goes to show how fucking crazy. I mean, it goes without saying that Zendaya is
ethereal.
A goddess. Yeah. But she wore these Loewe tennis heels where they've got like a tennis ball in the heel. People loved that, went crazy for it. But she's a big proprietor of method dressing. We saw it recently, obviously, with the June 2 promo. I don't know if you saw the look that Anya Taylor-Joy wore. It was like a cape, even though she's in the movie for what, like 2 minutes. But she wore like this
under 10
white
seconds, I think.
sort of cape thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson did it a lot for Madam
Oh,
Web.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I love method dressing. I think it's
cool.
it's such a fun and novel and unique and interesting way to not just turn up in a suit.
Yeah.
And Timmy does it a lot, to be fair. He is great for that. I love a bit of method dressing. I think it's awesome. In this interview, it was with Luca and Jonathan. Luca was basically asked, is there any sort of films that you look to as inspiration for this movie? And he specifically cited the costume design in Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. So
Crazy how influential that movie is.
specifically citing the designer and the costumes from that movie. So
They are unbelievable.
He said, quote unquote, that was really something to behold. And he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. Go listen to our episode.
He is not wrong. Go and listen to that episode. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it has been a little bit of a struggle, this one, because there is not much information out on this at the moment.
We've had to rely on our opinions, which is always dangerous. Because we are clueless.
It's hard to watch something one time and act like you have an informed opinion on it. I'm mainly going on my gut instinct.
And there's not even a plot summary on Wikipedia.
No, it's also the fact that this movie is so hard to talk about in a structured way because the narrative is so all
There's
over
no
the
fucking
place.
structure to the movie as it is.
No, not at all. But no, I can't express enough how much I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, so banger. Go watch it. It's going to be massive, I think.
The performances are amazing. I'm not sure how it will play with general audiences.
Who's General?
I said general. Stop trying to make me look foolish. I think some people are going to really hate this movie.
I don't get what there is to hate about it.
I mean...
The structuring and the sex and
The sex and also the bouncing back and forth with the narrative and...
It was too confusing.
Yeah.
Oh, we should read some IMDb user reviews, but I can't bring myself to do that.
No, this movie is amazing. Definitely check it out. The performances are excellent. The direction, for the most part, I know you had a few gripes, but...
It's more the editing, though. I actually come full circle.
It looks amazing. The soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
The costume design is fantastic. A lot of man legs, a lot of Zendaya legs. It's an equal opportunities movie, and if you're that way inclined, check it out.
Whoop, go see it.
But imagine if you could turn Patrick Zweig into a guy who wins a slam. You still have a season. You still have one good season, and I need you to bring it out of me.
I have a quiz. The quiz is back after 2 long weeks without having a quiz.
We
so the
talk
quiz
too
returns.
Woohoo, I've missed it.
Well, I have a quiz on thruples.
Lovely.
I'm going to give you 3 character names.
Okay.
And these are the names of a thruple in a movie.
Oh, God.
Or more like a love triangle than a thruple.
Yeah,
Right? Let's go love triangle. It's better. Some of them are pretty easy. Some of them are a bit more challenging. So, you ready?
Yeah.
Love triangle 1. Cal, Rose, and Jack.
Titanic.
Very good.
Yay.
I'm going to give you one name at a time and see if you can get it.
Oh, okay.
Love triangle 2.
Go.
Tom.
Great Gatsby.
Oh, how have you done that?
Tom Buchanan.
Well done. That's great. Full marks on that one. This is a difficult one.
Oh, okay.
Patrick.
Challenges.
No. Joel.
I'm thinking Heartbeats. Is that on this list?
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
But it's not.
Okay, go.
Do you want the third name? Clementine.
Have I seen this movie?
You must have done.
Clementine. Oh, Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, well done.
I remember Joel.
Yeah, Joel is Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
4. Jonathan.
Oh, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Correct. That would have been Jonathan, Mina, and Vladimir. 6. Nicholas. Now would be the time.
Heartbeats?
Yes, Heartbeats, full mark.
I was going to say, can I guess the other names? If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't guess the other names.
It
That's
was
probably...
Marie and Francis.
That's my least favourite Dolan, I think.
Yeah, I don't
fan of
like
that
Heartbeats. I was going to pick
I like
Love. Oh, no, that's Noah, isn't it? Shit.
I like
Love's
it
not
more
on this
than
list.
you, but I don't
Oh, yeah, I
like
hated
it very
Heartbeats. It's
much.
hipstery wankery. I hate it.
Yeah, it's not great.
6. Rachel.
Are these all movies?
Yes.
Oh, Friends.
Yeah. No,
Ross, Rachel, and Emily?
that's not a love triangle.
Is Emily not?
That's Ross's.
I, Ross, take the Rachel.
Oh, yeah. That is Emily. I thought that was his ex-wife. Anyway. Rachel.
Rachel. What's your name? Rachel? No.
Harvey.
Hmm.
Want the third name?
Yeah.
Bruce.
Oh, Batman.
The Dark Knight, correct. 7. James.
Harry Potter.
No.
Oh, not James, Lily, and
Severus. Snivelling Snape.
James.
Yes. I wouldn't get it from this.
No.
Elizabeth.
Pride and Prejudice. What's that other one? Atonement.
Weird coincidence, but no, it's not Atonement.
I've never seen that movie. I'm just guessing.
No, but weird.
Okay. Next one.
Will.
James, Elizabeth, and Will. Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
James Norrington, the Commodore.
I forgot about him.
He's great.
He's so good.
I read-
End up with him, not fucking
I read
Will.
the other day that Will Turner's character, someone said, should have been completely scrapped and just had James Norrington.
Yeah, he's fun. He's so...
Have it be James, the Commodore, like the British Army. He's like, the Royal Navy. Then have Jack Sparrow, and then have Elizabeth Swann.
Ooh,
Perfect.
I'm Orlando
Oh,
Bloom.
he's shite.
So bad. Watching those movies recently, I didn't watch them as much as you did, but James, he's a fucking great character, and he's
Yeah.
much hotter as well.
Yeah, he is. Especially when in Dead Man's Chest, when he's all washed up.
Yeah, he looks great.
8. Marla.
I know this because that's such a weird name. I can't think what the movie is. Go to the next one.
Tyler.
Oh, is it? Where is my mind?
It is.
Fight Club.
Fight Club, yes. Could you guess the
Who have we had? Marla
Tyler?
and I don't know what Ed Norton. Well, I don't know what his name is.
The narrator.
Oh, is that what his
Yeah.
name is? Yeah, I'm not a Fight Club. I don't mind it. It's fine.
Question 9. Scott.
Are you sure this is movies?
Who could it be? Oh, yeah, no, it's not Teen Wolf. I was going to throw a True Blood one in here, but it was too obvious.
Scott Allison and Isaac. Scott McCall is the only name I can think of.
Gene?
Have I seen this movie?
Yeah. 3rd?
Yeah.
Logan. Who is the most famous Logan in pop culture?
Wolverine.
Yes.
Is that what the movie is?
Well, it's X-Men.
Oh. I hate those movies.
X-Men rocks, shut up. Final question. Aaron.
Aaron.
No.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Katie.
It's a weird one as well. No.
Regina.
Is it Mean Girls?
It is Mean Girls, yes.
Oh, yeah, Katie is Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan, right?
So what did you get? You got Fight Club, Pirates, Dark Knight, Heartbeats, Dracula, Eternal Sunshine, Gatsby, and Titanic. You got 8. Well done. Very good. And some of those you got right off the bat. No. Oh, sorry. You got 9. Well done. Yeah.
Is it just X-Men I did?
Yeah, it's just X-Men you didn't get, which you kind of did after I gave you a hint. But
Yeah.
well done. Good
Thank
quiz,
you.
wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
You like
very
that quiz?
good. Chris Tarrant's back, ladies and gentlemen.
He is. Back in full force.
Back in book form.
Next week we are covering. It's a big one. I'm not going to make any promises. Should we just not make any promises?
No, if we can do it,
We will.
we will. We're going to try our hardest.
Should it be a surprise? Anyway, it's a big episode. It's episode 10. We're reaching double digits.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, it's going to be a big one. If it's just a regular audio episode, no, we failed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even mention it. I'm not even going to apologise for it. We're going to try something. If it fails, more fool us.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Stick around to see it. Or
Go and
hear
watch-
it.
Go and watch
Oh,
this.
not giving too much away!
Go and watch this movie.
Go watch Challengers.
It's amazing. Give this your money rather than If or Up or
What's it? What was there's some
what was
shite
that?
out. Don't go.
Oh,
Monkey,
terrible.
King Kong. Go see the 12th King Kong
Go
installment.
see Monkey Man. Don't go and see.
There's 3 movies with monkeys in. There's Planet of the Apes, King Kong, and there's Monkey Man. And I
Oh,
will be
love
watching
it.
that Planet of the Apes movie.
Monkey season.
It's monkey season, guys.
It's monkin' time.
It's monkin' time. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening as always.
Thank you
and
so much.
Stay tuned for episode 10.
Subscribe, like, do all the good stuff. And we'll see you
Shill.
around. Ta-ra.
Goodbye.
Mind how you go. Goodbye.
I don't like these movies.
Get real. Did I saw that movie 20 goddamn times?
Just consume product. I watch violent movies. Yeah, violent movies are the best movies.
Having so much fun and
No, this movie's too complicated.
So once again, no smoking in this theater.